Have you ever had that feeling that something in your home isn't quite right? Maybe something gets moved, a door is left open, or you hear a strange noise and convince yourself it's nothing. But imagine living alone and slowly realizing that someone else might actually be living inside your house. This is a strange Reddit story about a woman we'll call Maryann and what she discovered inside her own home. Maryann lived alone and had always felt completely safe in her house. She had a quiet routine and never had any reason to believe that someone could get inside without her knowing. Then, small things started changing. At first, she noticed that her groceries weren't lasting as long as they normally did. She thought maybe she was eating more than she realized. Perhaps she'd simply forgotten what she'd bought. But then it kept happening. Food was disappearing from her refrigerator. Maryann started paying closer attention, and that's when she noticed something even stranger. Dirty dishes were appearing in her dishwasher. The problem was, she hadn't used them. She lived alone. There was nobody else who should have been eating from her kitchen. Then came the wet towels. Maryann started finding wet towels in her laundry hamper, even on days when she hadn't showered. At that point, she knew something was seriously wrong. She began wondering if someone was secretly entering her house while she was away. But there was no obvious sign of a break-in. Then one day, she heard something that completely changed the situation. Thumping sounds were coming from the attic. At first, Maryann tried to explain it away. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe the wind was moving something around. Maybe some boxes had fallen over. But eventually, she couldn't ignore it anymore. If someone really was inside her house, she needed to know. So she grabbed a flashlight and climbed into the attic. The moment she looked around, she realized her worst fear was true. Someone had been living there. Hidden among the boxes, she found a sleeping bag, a pillow, a small radio, a hot plate, and food wrappers. Someone had created a tiny living space inside her attic. But whoever it was, wasn't there. Maryann immediately called the police. She explained everything: the missing food, the strange dishes, the wet towels, and now the evidence that someone had been secretly living above her. The police believed the intruder was probably getting inside through the attic window. So they decided to watch the house and wait. They didn't have to wait long. Later that same day, officers spotted a man climbing a tree, apparently trying to reach the attic window. They caught him before he could get inside. When police questioned him, the man admitted everything. Apparently, he had been secretly living in the attic and had developed a routine. When Maryann left for work, he would climb inside, go downstairs, eat her food, use things around the house, and then return to the attic before she came home. He had been doing it without her knowing. The mystery was finally solved. But then something unexpected happened. When Maryann actually met the man, she felt something she didn't expect: compassion. According to the story, he wasn't aggressive or threatening. He was simply struggling and had nowhere to go. Instead of pressing charges, Maryann decided to help him. She allowed him to stay, helped him find a job, and eventually gave him the chance to get back on his feet. What started as a terrifying discovery turned into something surprisingly heartwarming. Most people would probably have wanted nothing to do with someone secretly living in their attic. But Maryann chose compassion. And sometimes the strangest horror stories don't end with a monster. Sometimes they end with a person who simply needed somewhere to go. This is Finite Stories.